Good morning, everyone. My name is Cronin. I'm the Associate Curator of International Conservation at the North Carolina Zoo, and I'll be taking your questions today on SMART and how we're using it to protect endangered species in Africa. To date, there's only been one documented case of a coronavirus infection in a zoo animal, and that's a tiger at the Bronx Zoo. Research suggests that big cats may be susceptible, so in an abundance of caution at the zoo, we're having everyone working with these animals wear masks and other protective equipment. Penguins' short legs are well suited for swimming and diving, which is good considering how much time they spend in the water. But the side-to-side motion while walking helps them save a little bit of energy and compensate for those short legs. Otherwise, their muscles would have to do all the work. The annual operating budget of the zoo is about $25 million a year. Luckily, though, so far we haven't had any issues with elevated cost or had any issues sourcing any of the food we need to care for the animals. As much as possible, we try to base animal care, so the habitat, the diet, and schedule, on an animal's specific biology and behavior in the wild. So for example, we've completely redesigned the gorilla's diet at the zoo. We've moved from a commercially available pelletized diet made to fit the needs of primates to a much more leafy vegetable diet that's going to be much more reflective of what they're eating in the wild. Like any field biologist, I found myself in a number of dangerous situations, but they're often related to the remoteness of the environment. So something as simple as a sprained ankle or a stomach bug can be really, really dangerous if you're 2 days hike away from the nearest village. In the rainforest, where I've done a lot of my work, there's lots of everyday threats that people worry about, and two common examples are tree falls or snakes, but they're no different than what we encounter here at home. So for example, just last weekend, I was doing yard work with my daughter, tree branch fell, and she almost got hit by it. And then the same day, my neighbor found a copperhead underneath a pot in his backyard. So in the grand scheme of it, everything is relative. SMART is used in over 1,000 sites in more than 65 countries, so countless species are being helped with the technology. At the zoo, we focus on lions, elephants, gorillas, rhinos, and we use those as an umbrella for other species in the ecosystem. So this is a really great question. I'm going to give you a couple of good examples. So I've worked in Central African rainforests for years, and I spent more than 2 years of my life living in the forest, and I've never seen a linsang, this small carnivore, in the wild. Never seen one in the wild. It's incredible to me. In Nigeria, where cross-river gorillas live, our Director of Conservation Education and Science has worked there for years. They spent so much time in the forest, and he's only ever seen these animals 3 times for a grand total of 7 seconds. Collaring forest elephants is also very difficult and can be very dangerous. They're very hard to find because they're wary of humans, and it's very difficult to dart them. So our elephant teams have put in a lot of work and navigated some very tricky situations to get their work done. How did I get such a sweet beard? Well, we're on quarantine, so I've had some time on my hands. So we haven't noticed any changes in the animal's behavior with the closing of the zoo, and that's maybe due to the fact that our large natural enclosures allow animals to control where they go and what they're doing, even when the zoo is open. So I have 3 favorite animals, and I'm going to give you 3 specific reasons why. The first is black and white rough lemurs, and those are because I studied them as an undergraduate, and that's what led me to decide I wanted to study primates for a career. The second animal is the African wild dog, because I just think they're incredibly beautiful and incredibly graceful, and the coordinated way in which they hunt as a pack, to me, is awesome. And then my final species is the red colobus monkey. It is something that I started studying when I was doing my doctoral work, and then over time it's just really become a focus for a lot of the work that I'm doing, and I think if we can conserve them, we can conserve a lot of other species. So in SMART, rangers collect data in the field which are fed into a central database, and then those data can be analyzed, mapped, visualized and reported on, and then that helps managers make better decisions on how to deploy resources and patrols in the future. So implementing a new technology can be difficult in the best of situations, but often SMART is implemented in places where there's a lack of infrastructure, where there's a lack of resources, and SMART is there to try to help make the best use of those resources to best protect wildlife. So imagine implementing a new technology when you have inconsistent electricity or a lack of internet. It can be really challenging. And often you have staff that are very committed to their job, but haven't been trained well enough or provided enough support to be able to do their job well. So often it's a combination of overcoming infrastructure challenges and making sure the rangers on the ground are trained enough and well supported enough to be able to do their job effectively. Thank you all for tuning in to our first Ask an Expert series. I've had a really good time answering your questions, and I hope they've been informative for you. Please check back next week when it will be our Director of Animal Health, and we hope to see you each week after that. Thanks.